Hello everyone, I hope you all doing alright and enjoy your day as usual. I thank you everyone, especially our lecturer, for giving me time and space to talk about very common yet rarely talk dilemma in our society. My name is Ghifary Ramadhani, and now I will give a short speech and some explanation that mostly about mental disorder, depression, and the impact to the current generation. Mental illness has been hidden behind a curtain of stigma, discriminate for too long. Many people mistook it as if a small with an important impact toward the person who diagnoses with it. They also sometimes misunderstood mental illness as a mere person who went insane and just sent it to the local asylum. Now, if those people accept that sentence as the best way to describe mental illness, that's a bleak and very ignorant mindset because mental illness is more than just that. Wikipedia defines mental illness as a behavior or mental pattern that cause significant distress or impairment of personal function, such as feature may be persistent, relapsing, remitting, or occur as a single episode. By that definitions, mental disorder, or many people call it mental illness, doesn't look like putting insane people to a special hospital. Now, since many disorder has been described with sign of symptoms that vary widely different between specific disorder, I would like to talk more about one of the devastating yet easily overlooked mental disorder, that is, of course, depression. Depression, the word that may sound taboo and foreign to some people, some may also use it as an excuse to seize the thing they desire. But what is depression? Depression, from what I gather, is characterized by persistent sadness and lack of interest, of pleasure in previously rewarding or enjoyable activities. It can also disturb sleep and appetite, tiredness, and poor concentration. Depression can have a lot of symptoms. It can range from anxiety, mood swing, losing appetite, loss of interest, hopelessness, feeling guilty, poor concentration, and suicide thought. The average length of depressive episode, it can be from 6 to 8 months. Some studies also show that nearly 20% of people experience depressive episode at least one time in their life. In USA alone, it is estimated around 17 million Americans had some depressive episode, most of which are in the age of 18 to 25. National Health Interview Survey also conduct research that the percentage of adults who experience any symptoms of depression was highest among those aged 18 to 29, with 21%, followed by those aged 45 to 64, with 18%, and lastly, by the age of 30 and 44 to 44, with 16%. You also might be surprising that the Annie Cassie Foundation uh, considered Gen Z as the most depressive generation in our time. Now you may be wondering why on earth so many young people are depressed. Many factors in our current modern lifestyle contributes to the stain the Gen Z has. Most of these factors are the environment they're living with. Mostly about how the world they live in are pretty bleak, where people around them are suppressive and dominant toward them. Which also bring me to the next factor, abuse and harassment. Pretty self-explanatory. This factor is mostly about bullying, child abuse, or abuse in general. Despite all of that, from what I saw, that teenager has a quite absurd way to cope with their disorder. Social media is very essential technology in today's world. We can't go everywhere without turn on a device and open up social media. So why am I bringing this up? Because social media is one of the worst way to cope with depression. I never said social media as a whole is bad, nor I never said you could not cope your depression in social media. But for people who in their 15 to 90 that unable to talk their disorder to people around them is quite different way. Of course, they would open up Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and any other problem with less likely chance to get treatment for their disorder. Also, speaking of depression and social media, I found a lot of people who use mental disorder as a way to be a quirk and unique. This, of course, another big problem on how society treat mental disorder, as it blur out the meaning of mental disorder and those who diagnoses with it. The romanticizing mental disorder it used as a way to define their sick personality and, aware or without aware, glorified mental disorder as a glamorous or beauty personality that only unique person has. However, despite all the bad thing that I mentioned before, this generation is also the most likely to seek treatment for anxiety and depression through counseling and therapy. 37% of Gen Zs report that they receive help from psychologists or other mental expert, which is more than any previous generation. With each more of people who have depression or mental disorder consult to mental health expert about their struggle, we might find a way to cure mental illness as a whole because for now, depression and mental health is still hard to be cured. So, as for now, how do we cure depression? Well, the most obvious way is to consult to mental health expert or psychologist. Tell them everything your problem and they might find a way to solve it. Another way is to talk about it with person you're trusted with. It can be your sibling, your parent, and even your friend. Because talk about depression to someone might have a chance to reduce the feeling of being depressed. So talk about your problem is the main key to reduce and even cure mental disorder. So that's about it. I'll talk much about mental disorder and the effect to the current generation. It might be my speech isn't quite good and I hope you managed to salvage some information from this video. Thank you all for watching my video. You might want to subscribe this channel too. Apologies if there is any mistake. That's it from me. Thank you and goodbye.